Okay, so today's first second round match of the World Cup was between France and Poland. It's finished 3-1 to France, so France still can't keep a clean sheet at this tournament. And I will say this about Poland, they were better in patches in this game than the entire 90 minutes against Argentina in the group stage, where they were absolutely dreadful. I will say that. They did get a goal, admittedly a penalty, and you can argue should it have been a penalty or not. What's the difference between accidental and deliberate handball anymore? And the fact the penalty had to be retaken, which has saved Robert Lewandowski's blushes, because that was a shocking first attempt at a penalty. But yes, you could argue that Hugo Lloris is clearly well off his line by about 3 foot. But in years past, that would have not been retaken unless the referee's really enforcing the encroachment rule, which is rarely enforced. Anyway, first half wasn't great by either side. It was a little bit scrappy. There was no real flow to the game as such. France and Poland were sizing each other up. France had the better of the chances and fairly are 1-0 up at half-time. Olivier Giroud with his record-breaking goal. He's now the all-time leading goal scorer of France. He's ahead of Thierry Henry now. The next nearest active French player is Griezmann, who's got 10 less goals than Giroud. So I think Giroud's record's safe for a couple of years at least, but with the rate that Kylian Mbappe is banging them in, I can't see Giroud holding this record for very long. Mbappe's got a fair way to go until he catches Giroud, but with obviously next year's qualifiers for the upcoming Euros, I can see Mbappe overtaking Giroud by the time the Euros final is played in a year and a half's time. I really can. I can't see Giroud holding this record for very long with the rate that Mbappe is now scoring for France. He's scoring at more than a goal a game. He's the top goal scorer for under-23s at the World Cup all time. He's now surpassed Pele's record in that regard. This kid is just scoring goals for fun. Admittedly, he didn't have the best Euros last summer, but a lot of players didn't play well for France last summer. But with the players that are missing for France, they're actually playing better without the likes of Pogba, for example, and Benzema. Benzema, Golden Boot, Ballon d'Or winner, not in the squad because of injury. Does Giroud get in the squad if Benzema's there? No, he doesn't. But he's now broken France's all-time goal-scoring record, and the goal comes from 44 minutes. And at that point, you're not actually thinking a goal's going to come because the finishing by both sides has been sloppy, not accurate enough. Yes, France had the better of the chances, but Giroud's a poacher. If you give him any kind of space in the box, he may not be the quickest, but I tell you now, he's got movement and good spatial awareness, and he's a very physical player. He will battle with centre-backs to make himself space, and he's a good focal point for other players to feed off, which is very crucial for the second goal. The link-up play for the second goal is absolutely fantastic, and without Giroud, that goal isn't scored. Fact. And so it's 1-0 at half-time. Poland had their moments. They did. Finishing wasn't accurate enough, not good enough, and goal scoring has been an issue for Poland at this tournament. They haven't scored enough goals, considering you've got Lewandowski in the side. That is not good enough. The fact that Lewandowski leaves the tournament with just 2 goals is not good enough, although he's finally got his World Cup goals, which is fantastic for a player like Lewandowski. It hasn't worked at World Cups, and even Euros in the past for him. He's finally got a couple of goals. He's Poland's all-time record goal scorer. You can see how important that is. But the fact that they've had 4 managers in 4 years tells you all you need to know about the state of Polish international football. Yes, they've got some good, young, talented technical players and some pretty solid box-to-box midfielders and hard-working players, but that lack of managerial stability over a long period of time, I think, is also hindering this Polish side. Anyway, Poland are in the box. Griezmann is the player who actually finally clears the ball. The control by Giroud over the shoulder, the vision to see Dembele on the wing, bang, straight out of feet. He continues his run, makes a run in the box. Dembele swings it across. Mbappe, power pass. He doesn't even try and curl it. He just smashes it straight through Szczesny. Szczesny's not stopping that for that Mbappe goal in 74 minutes. Whether that's better than the second goal or not, I don't know. But without Giroud, his takedown, his vision, bang, and then his run to then pull defenders to give Mbappe space when the cross comes in. Without Giroud, if Benzema's playing, does that goal get scored? Ironically, will Benzema be selfish and just run with it, which will actually help the defenders make a decision? The fact that Giroud realises he hasn't got the pace to outstrip the defenders, and he realises he's got 2 quicker players, bang, That's the difference between Giroud and Benzema. Benzema is purely selfish goal scorer. He doesn't link up with other players very well. Giroud realises his limitations that he has in his game, but also realises he can distribute to other players and create space. That's, I think, the difference. If Benzema's in the side, that goal doesn't get scored. At least not by Mbappe. Maybe by Benzema. Maybe not. Giroud is crucial to that second goal. Without Giroud, that goal doesn't get scored. In my opinion, people will disagree. We'll see that in the comment section below. The last few minutes is chaotic. And this is what's interesting, is France still cannot keep a clean sheet. And yes, it's a penalty, but Mbappe scores his second goal on dead on 90 minutes. And he's from a similar area as the first, where he's on the field, on the left-hand side of the box. And this time it's power and curl. And Szczesny gets a hand on it, but Szczesny's had a fantastic tournament. He's managed to carry Poland this far with keeping the ball out of the net. But Szczesny's not stopping that. He's had a fantastic tournament. Some of the saves Szczesny's pulled off, but he's not stopping that. And it's 3-0. And again, it's a lot of build-up. There's players passing and moving, and then there's balls from the wide area. There's movement in the middle. They don't need to score a third, but they want to score more. Mbappe wants to score more. Those 2 goals are possibly 2 of the best goals in the tournament so far. Mbappe, there's still areas of his game he needs to improve, but going forward, he's fantastic. Defensively, I think, is where his massive weakness is in tracking back, giving a bit of protection to the left-hand side of midfield and the left wing-back and the left centre-back, just covering his defensive side of the game. He's got to pick that up, but in attack, it's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. There is no denying what he can do with the ball at his feet, cutting in on the right foot, even scoring with his left, his head, his runs. Matty Cash had a nightmare dealing with him. Absolute nightmare dealing with him. I think he's probably thankful his tournament's now over in that regard, not having to deal with him again. Debate which one's better, this first or a second goal. It's up to you. But still no hat-tricks at this tournament. That is interesting. The penalty itself, and this is where I think France are sloppy, even though they're like 1-0 up, then they go 2-0 up, then they're 3-0 up. Defensively, they're still giving away a lot of chances. And a more threatening attack, or a more potent attack, even though Lewandowski's in the side, there are other Polish players who feed off Lewandowski who also score goals. Poland have been finding goal-scoring opportunities hard to come by, goal-scoring difficult, they're not scoring enough. Yes, it is handball, but in my view, it's an accidental handball. The defender's not even looking at the ball. He's turned his back, he's turned his head. It hits his hand. Now, what is the interpretation of a deliberate handball and accidental? I believe accidental handball still is an indirect free kick in the box, if I'm not mistaken. It's in the rulebook. Referees rarely enforce the accidental handball indirect free kick. I think to clear up this grey area, any handball, accidental or deliberate, is either a free kick or a penalty. Forget the indirect nature of it. And just be done with it. So if it's in the box, it's a penalty. If it's the defender and the defensive team handling it, if it's like an attacking team, obviously it's a free kick. If like Thierry Henry handball against Ireland, for example, that should have been a free kick. That kind of thing. Anywhere else on the field, it's a free kick. That should be grey area gone. But it's clearly an accidental handball. There was no intent to deliberately handle that ball, and if you do read the laws of the game, you actually read the rule book, an accidental handball in the box is classed as an indirect free kick. VAR has given it as a penalty. The referee hasn't given it. It's given as a penalty. Now, the first penalty is a shocking attempt by Lewandowski, although, Lloris is a different postcode off his goal, off his line, which is a rule that has been brought in to keep the goalkeeper on the line. That he's wandered off into a different country, I think. It's retaken, but there's also encroachment. Now, encroachment is never penalised by the referee. Ever. Hardly ever do the referees and the linesmen. What's the linesman's job in this incident? One watches the goal line, one watching encroachment. Neither is clearly doing their job because VAR has picked up the fact that Lloris is off his line. Also, the penalty attempt is shocking by Lewandowski. Then he changes the ball, then it's retaken, then he scores with the last kick of the game, so he leaves the tournament with 2 goals. And that means France still have not kept a clean sheet in this tournament. But there were other opportunities for Poland to get goals. Finishing wasn't good enough. Lloris did have a decent game. If it's not for Szczesny in the Poland goal, France could have had more. Again, some of the finishing a bit wayward. Was this the best French performance? No. Defensively, there's still some concerns for picking up marking, shutting down crosses, winning that second header or that second challenge, that 50-50 when they attempted to clear the ball. On the French attacking side, look, Giroud and Mbappe are scoring for fun at this tournament. They're vying for the golden boot at the moment. Mbappe's 1 goal ahead. Giroud every time Giroud will score now, he will extend his goal scoring record for France. And every time, if Griezmann decides to start scoring as well and Mbappe continues to score, they will be chasing him down as active international players. I think this will be Giroud's last set of internationals for France personally, although he might be involved in the qualifiers for the Euros next year. So France going forward are pretty good. It's when they turn the ball over, Mbappe doesn't track back, and that leaves the left-hand side of their defence a bit more exposed because, guess what, Hernandez, the wing-back, also is very attack-minded. So their left-side defence is a little bit suspect, and that means their players have to shift over, and they are giving away a lot of chances. Now, they're going to find, as the tournament progresses into the quarterfinals, semi-finals, and finals, should they get that far, that teams like Brazil, for example, England, if we get that far with their goal scoring, like wide areas and attacking with pace and exploiting those weaknesses. So there's some top goal scoring teams right now, and they will find that giving away sloppy chances could prove their undoing. I think their weakness is defence and Mbappe and Hernandez tracking back. But there we go. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll have some more content for you very, very soon.